Welcome to the module on the history of wine. Before we dive into the fascinating history of wine, we want to welcome you to Go Vinus, your new home in the wine universe. Wine doesn't have to be distant or foreign. Go Vinus is an educational platform that values Latin American wine and simplifies learning. With lightness and accessible content, we want to transform how you connect with wine and with the culture of our continent. Welcome to a fascinating journey through 9,000 years of history. Today, we will unravel the secrets behind every glass, exploring how wine shaped civilizations, survived plagues, and became a global symbol of tradition and innovation. Prepare for an epic journey. Wine is much more than a simple grape fermentation. It is a mirror of our own history. By tracing its journey, we see the evolution of agriculture, trade, religion, and human ingenuity. It is a unique lens to understand who we are and where we come from. The history of wine begins long before France. In 7000 BC, in China, beverages were already being fermented. But it is in Armenia that we find the star of prehistory, the world's oldest winery, from 4100 BC, with a grape press, amphorae, and rituals. Afterwards, wine becomes a symbol of civilization in the Epic of Gilgamesh, when Enkidu becomes human by drinking wine. Soon, the Egyptians label their wines, and the Phoenicians, tireless navigators, spread the grapevine throughout the Mediterranean, giving rise to the great regions we know today. With the Greeks, wine became a symbol of wisdom and moderation, consumed in their famous symposia. Rome popularized it even further, with Pliny the Elder reminding us that in wine, there is truth. But when the Roman Empire fell, who saved wine? The monks. They preserved and enhanced viticulture, with the Cistercians of Burgundy being true pioneers. And yes, during the Black Death, wine was often the safest drink. A toast to resilience. The age of great navigations was also the age of wine globalization. Colonizers brought grapevines to the Americas, and Peru was one of the first to receive these cuttings, the origin of the continent's first wines and even pisco, a distillate made from grapes. Wines like Madeira and Port gained fame for enduring long sea voyages as well. And shortly after, in Bordeaux, one of the world's most famous grapes was born almost by chance, Cabernet Sauvignon. The Enlightenment. The age of reason, refinement, and also of wine. During this period, the history of champagne began to take shape. Dom Perignon? No, he didn't invent the bubbles, on the contrary, he tried to avoid them. The first documented sparkling wine is Blanquette de Limoux, made in 1531 in the south of France. But the one who truly transformed champagne was Madame Clicquot. A visionary, she created the pupitre, a technique that clarifies sparkling wine, and elevated champagne to worldwide luxury status. It was also during this time that noble rot was discovered, the Botrytis cinerea fungus, which concentrates sugars in grapes and gave rise to the world's most prestigious sweet wines. And with the Industrial Revolution came standardized bottles, modern corks, and the birth of major wine brands, making wine more accessible and globally recognizable. The late 19th century was a drama for wine. While France was classifying its best chateaux, and Pasteur was revolutionizing enology with microbiology, an invisible plague, Phylloxera, nearly destroyed French viticulture. But the solution came from America, grafting. And Latin America became a refuge, with Chile, for example, never having been affected, preserving its ungrafted vines. Meanwhile, in the USA, Prohibition almost extinguished its nascent wine industry. A roller coaster of events. After World War II, wine began its transformation into a global luxury product, symbolizing sophistication, status, and cultural identity. New regions gained prominence, consumption became popularized, and the industry reorganized based on marketing, export, and international recognition. In 1949, the Bordeaux region produced an exceptional vintage known as the Vintage of the Century, reigniting the prestige of French wines post-war and boosting global interest in the region's Grands Crus. From the 1960s onwards, wine consumption began to expand to new audiences and styles. By 1964, products like bottled sangria and bag-in-box wine arrived in the North American market, making wine more accessible to the general public. Wine ceased to be just elitist and became part of the daily lives of the middle class. But the true turning point came in 1976, at the famous Judgment of Paris. Imagine the scene: renowned French experts, in a blind tasting. And, to everyone's shock, Californian wines beat the greats of Bordeaux and Burgundy. An earthquake in the wine world, proving that quality was not exclusive to Europe and paving the way for the brilliance of the New World. We arrive in the 21st century, the new golden age of wine. Napa Valley reinvented itself, even with the return of Phylloxera. Critics like Robert Parker gained influence, Asia became a luxury market, and China entered the game. The New World established its identity, with Argentine Malbec, New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, and others. Even ancient Georgian amphorae returned to the scene. Today, wine is a global industry, with Italy, France, and Spain leading in volume, but the New World setting trends. The future of wine is vibrant and full of transformations. Sustainability is a pillar, with organic, biodynamic, and natural wines gaining ground. Climate change is redefining vineyard geography, and technology, with drones and artificial intelligence, is revolutionizing production. But the most exciting aspect is the growing diversity and inclusion in the sector, with new voices and stories being told. And for new generations, wine is becoming less complicated, with canned options and digital experiences. It's a conscious, technological, and inclusive future. We have reached the end of our journey. The history of wine is, at its core, the history of humanity itself. From the first clay pots in China to today's virtual tastings, wine has evolved, but never lost its soul. The next time you open a bottle, think of Gilgamesh discovering the taste of civilization, the pharaohs with their labeled wines, the Greeks toasting the gods, the Romans bringing the grapevine to the world, the explorers who crossed oceans, and the scientists who saved vineyards from destruction. Raise your glass to this extraordinary legacy you hold in your hands. Cheers! We hope this journey through the history of wine has further ignited your passion. And the best part is, this is just the beginning. At Go Venus, you'll find incredible courses waiting for you, from essential tasting, to explore aromas and flavors, to sensory journeys through the terroirs of Latin America and the art of harmonization. Deepen your knowledge, discover new wines, connect with other enthusiasts, and transform your relationship with wine. Become part of the Go Venus community. Your next glass might change everything. Cheers!